The air was thick with tension as Adrian stood at the edge of the clearing, his senses on high alert. His eyes, glowing an eerie yellow in the darkness, scanned the forest for any sign of movement. For weeks now, he'd been playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse with the mysterious figure who had saved his life after that fateful night of the full moon. But now it seemed the roles were reversed, and Adrian was the one being hunted. Their last encounter had been a tense standoff, a battle of wills and control as Adrian struggled to keep his lichen form at bay, and when the first rays of sunlight touched the horizon, the figure had vanished without a trace. But Adrian knew this person wasn't just a random forest dweller. There was something about their demeanor, their knowledge of herbs, and the way they wielded a blade that set them apart. And tonight, under the silvery glow of the waning gibbous moon, Adrian was determined to uncover their secret. The forest around him whispered secrets in the wind, and Adrian listened intently. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig carried echoes of the past, stories of ancient battles fought between the very same trees. He could almost feel the spirits of the fallen, both man and beast, watching him from the shadows, their presence a chilling reminder of the brutality that lay dormant within him. He remembered the curse, the chilling transformation that turned him into a monstrous wolf under the influence of the moon. How he'd felt the beast claw its way up from his gut, ripping through his skin and bones with agonizing pleasure. And then the hunger, the insatiable lust for blood that had nearly consumed him. It took everything he had not to give in to the wild animal within, to tear apart the deer he'd cornered and drink its blood. But even as he battled the primal urges surging through his veins, there was a strange peace that settled over him. The more he embraced the wolf, the more he felt a sense of freedom, of shedding the shackles of his human self, of Adrian Hayes, the boy who'd grown up in the shadow of his father's expectations, always striving to be something he wasn't. His reflection in the still water of a nearby stream offered a glimpse of this duality, half Adrian the human, with haunted amber eyes staring back at him, and half the Wolfman, with snarl-bared fangs glinting in the moonlight. Adrian took a deep breath, the scent of pine and damp earth filling his lungs. It was now or never. With a surge of adrenaline, he burst out of the trees, crashing into a small clearing. There in the center stood the figure he'd been seeking, their back to him, silhouetted against the soft glow of the moon. As if sensing his approach, the figure turned, revealing a face etched with the wisdom of years and eyes that glittered like chips of ice. In their hands was a silver knife, its surface etched with strange runes. "So you found me," the figure said, their voice raspy as if unused for long. "I've been expecting you." A low growl rumbled in Adrian's chest, a mixture of frustration and warning. Why had this person been hiding? What secrets did they hold about the curse that plagued Adrian? Was there a way to break it? The figure took a step back, their eyes never leaving Adrian's. "You are strong, Adrian Hayes, but also reckless. You need guidance, someone to help you control the beast within." Adrian hesitated, his instincts screaming at him to attack, to rip apart the secrets hidden behind those icy eyes. But something in the figure's tone, a hint of weariness, a touch of sadness, made him pause. Could this person truly help him, or were they a threat? "Why should I trust you?" Adrian asked, his voice a low growl. The figure sighed, running a hand down their silver hair. "Because I can help you break the curse, Adrian, but you must choose to trust me." The temptation was great, the promise of ending the curse that tormented him, bringing back the life that had been ripped away. But Adrian's wariness remained. Slowly he approached the figure, his senses on high alert, listening for any sign of deception. If this person was lying, if their intentions were anything but pure, then Adrian would be ready. He might be cursed to become a monster under the full moon, but he wouldn't go down without a fight. As Adrian got closer, the figure raised their hands in a gesture of peace, their eyes filled with understanding. "Don't attack me, Adrian. I won't hurt you." Their voice echoed softly in the clearing, barely audible above the rustling leaves. Adrian stopped, his muscles tensed, ready to spring into action. But the figure didn't move, didn't flinch. They simply stood there, their gaze steady, their presence surprisingly calming. It was then that Adrian noticed the silver chains coiled around the figure's waist, glinting in the moonlight. Curiosity overcame him. "What are those?" he asked, his voice still wary but laced with genuine interest. The figure's eyes flickered with a mix of sadness and resignation as they reached for the chains. "These," they began, their voice heavy with unspoken stories, "are the shackles of my own curse." Adrian felt a pang of empathy. To be trapped, cursed, forever alone in the woods was a fate worse than death for most. The figure sensed his reaction, their gaze meeting his directly. "We have more in common than I thought, Adrian, more than you might wish to believe." The weight of their words hung in the air between them, thick with unspoken truths. Adrian's own curse, the one that transformed him into a fearsome wolf, suddenly felt less isolating, less like a burden he had to bear alone. There was a long pause, the only sound the distant hoot of an owl. Finally, Adrian spoke, his voice softer now, edged with a newfound understanding. "Tell me about yourself," he said, taking a hesitant step forward. The figure looked up, a ghost of a smile touching their lips. "My name is Silas," they said, their voice carrying the echoes of ages past. "And I've been hunting monsters for a very long time." Adrian blinked, taken aback by Silas's words. Hunting monsters. Could this seasoned individual be after him? Was he really just a beast waiting to be slain? Adrian felt a surge of anger and fear, his wolfish instincts taking over. He took a step back, his eyes flashing with a feral light. "Are you here to kill me?" he asked, his voice a low growl. Silas raised his hands in a gesture of peace, but Adrian could see the glint of steel in his peripherals. He lunged, his claws extended, aiming for Silas's throat. The older man reacted quickly, stepping aside to avoid the swipe. His arm brushed against something metallic on his belt. "Easy, boy," he said calmly, drawing a silver dagger. Adrian skidded to a halt, his body tensed, ready to pounce. He stared at the dagger, his wolfish instincts screaming at him to attack, to destroy. But something in Silas's demeanor, the calm way he held the dagger, the quiet confidence in his eyes, gave Adrian pause. "Who are you?" Adrian demanded, his voice echoing in the silent clearing. Silas met his gaze steadily, his expression unreadable. "A friend," he replied quietly. "An old friend." Adrian lowered his head, his breathing heavy. He could feel the beast within him struggling for control, clawing at his mind, urging him to attack. But something in Silas's demeanor, the quiet strength, the hint of sadness in his eyes, made Adrian hesitate. Silas stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "Come with me, Adrian," he said softly. "I can help you." Adrian felt torn, his instincts screaming at him to run, to hide, to attack. But the pull of the unknown, the hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could help him, was too strong to resist. Slowly, cautiously, Adrian rose, his eyes never leaving Silas. "Lead the way," he said quietly. Together they walked deeper into the forest, the trees closing around them, their branches intertwining overhead to form a canopy that blocked out the moonlight. The air grew cooler, damp with the scent of pine and decay. Adrian could feel the weight of Silas's gaze on him, the hunter and the hunted, predator and prey. The roles were blurred, the lines between them fading in the shadows. As the path ahead grew darker, Adrian knew one thing for sure. He had stumbled into a world he never knew existed, a world where monsters were real and hunters were even more feared.